Hello, YouTube. It's Monday here in my corner of the desert, and my morning routine is fairly set in stone, although sometimes events will conspire to take me out of it. But anyway, and one part of that routine is to go through and read the news. Usually just Google News and go through because you can select various topics and it'll give you all the headlines on that topic. So I'll go through and I'll do personal financial management, retirement. Um, I'll sometimes take a look at the stock market and just to see what's going on. But I mentioned before that I have no money in stocks. And one of the things that's sort of dominating the news is, of course, the war in Europe between Ukraine and Russia. And I'm not really a prepper per se, although I have made plans and I have acquired a bug out compound in another country. Although that particular compound is so close to the United States that if the worst comes to pass, and by the worst I'm talking about, if even a limited nuclear strike were to hit in this country, the fallout, because we are likely to respond, almost 100% certain to respond. Obviously we risk the nuclear winter. That being the case, a nuclear winter is going to be a global event. It's not going to be localized. So, but anyway, one of the reasons I did go to Mexico is assuming we avoid an exchange such that it results in a nuclear winter, then what's going to happen next? In Mexico, where my bug out compound is, they have Walmarts. In fact, where my compound is located, I'm closer to more Walmarts than I am where I live here in the United States in Arizona. So, that's one consideration. And the Walmarts there are stocked just like the Walmarts here, if not even better, because Mexico hasn't sort of gone through the same sort of inventory issues as we have here in the United States. Excuse me. But so, but unless the strike is limited, I'm not sure how much you can prep for that. I don't know if you've seen the movie The Road, or even better yet, read the book. The nuclear winter scenario is pretty dismal, and not sure you would want to be one of the survivors in that sort of event. But the other thing I think it would look like, the other issue I have with prepping is that if in fact law enforcement breaks down and we're sort of left to our own devices, the winners in that situation are going to be the small bands, and by small I'm talking hundreds of armed men. It'll be mostly men roaming the countryside, scavenging for food stores. So if you're a prepper, and you think you're safe out in the country, it's going to look something like what you saw in The Walking Dead, where people band together, but they're attacked by the larger groups, and the larger groups are generally going to win over time. So, again, not necessarily a scenario you might want to live in, but anyway, I'm keeping an eye on. I mean, we are all keeping our ears open and our eyes open for what's going on over there, because it's going to eventually, wherever it goes. I mean, if it goes south, even and I've said this before, even a small nuclear weapon, what they call a tactical nuclear weapon, is likely to crash our stock markets, and banks are likely to close, and you're not going to be able to get to your cash. So how do you prepare? And is cash even going to have any value? I mean, if you looked at the Walking Dead scenario, cash had no value. What had value was property next to water, a compound of sorts that you were able to protect, which means a large number of soldiers, not in the terms of formal military, but soldiers in terms of people in your group, and a large number of arms and a large number of bullets. And that's about it. That's maybe within the confines of the compound. When it comes time to bug out, everyone brings their food stores, and you immediately, even before the fact, you start a garden to grow your own food, and that's what, that would be the real sort of prepping that you could truly do to prepare yourself and prepare the group with which you plan to survive. I mean, if you're going to be a lone wolf, certainly you can hide in the forest if you can get away. I mean, if you can get away when it hits the fan, if you have the wherewithal. But getting out of cities is going to be a mess, because everyone's going to be trying to get out of cities. So at some point you should pre-position into a place where you can live off the land, but that means you need to know how to live off the land. You do need to have arms. You need to have ammunition, and it's going to require a pretty high level of skill, particularly if you plan to bug out to the north, because when winter comes, sort of all bets off at that point in terms of surviving. But I'm just not. I do have some inclination to, to stash some amount of cash. Would it be safe in the house? I'm just not sure it would have any value in the sort of situation where society breaks down. I don't think gold will have any value, only because the dominant denomination of the gold coins are such as that you would have to be giving away whole coins for very little in return. I mean, no one's going to make change for a gold piece worth $1,000. What are you going to make change in? You're going to trade. No one's going to trade gold for bullets or guns. It's just not going to happen. No one's going to trade arms, bullets and guns for silver. Or the only thing that might have some value is food, whether it's crops or food that survival pantry. But in that situation, people are just as likely to take it from you as not. So, yeah, it's. I read these series of books called The Gray Man. I don't know if you've seen the movie on. I think it's on Amazon Prime or Netflix. Anyway, and one of the things he seems to talk about or say in every book is hope is not a strategy. And in this case, hope is about all we have. Hope is that Putin is not as crazy as he probably should be after all these years of absolute power. Absolute power corrupts absolutely, but it also makes you a little crazy, I think. But at this point, all we can hope is Putin is not as crazy as we think, because, if we are as poor as we are as defending our own borders, how successful will Mexico be in protecting their borders? And if worst case scenario strikes, Mexico being as close as it is, will probably not escape the breakdown of society, except for the fact that they already have an army down there of trained killers in large numbers, and that is, of course, the drug cartels. So that's going to make for an interesting scenario as well. So anyway, just my thoughts on this Monday morning after reading the news, because like Joni Mitchell says, it all looks bad. But, so yeah, thank you for watching. If you have any comments, please leave them below. Maybe we can start a discussion.